Okay, let's dive into this. If you've ever worked with Ansible, you already know how powerful it is for automation. But there's always this one question, this big one, that always seems to pop up. So I'm asking you, how are you handling it right now? Do you have some complex testing framework, a long manual checklist you have to go through? Just take a second and actually picture your current process. Because what if I told you that a lot of the most common ways of testing Ansible playbooks, well, they're actually based on a fundamental misunderstanding of how Ansible is even supposed to work. All right, here's the first and most critical shift in thinking you need to make. Stop testing what Ansible is already designed to guarantee. The tool itself is the test for your infrastructure state. Think of it this way, right? You don't test if a chef followed the recipe. You taste the dish to see if it's good. The old way is checking the recipe, verifying that a service is started. But Ansible already guarantees that. That's its job. The Ansible way is tasting the dish, making sure your application at app.com is actually up and responding correctly. To really get why this makes so much sense, we need to dig into Ansible's core philosophy. It's built on two really powerful concepts that make most of that old-school infrastructure testing totally redundant. First up is the desired estate model. When you write a playbook that says a package should be installed or service should be running, you are declaring the end state you want. Ansible's entire job is to enforce that state. So you don't need a separate test to see if the package is there. You've already declared that it must be. Second is its fail-fast nature. This is so important. If you tell Ansible to start a service and it can't, the playbook doesn't just quietly move on. Nope. It stops dead in its tracks, throws an error, and forces you to deal with the problem. It yells appropriately. That built-in failure is your test. So, if we're not testing the infrastructure, what are we testing? The application. And this is where it gets fun, because Ansible gives us this brilliant toolkit to do just that, to taste the dish and make sure it's working exactly as we expect. The URI module is your frontline tool. It can act like a browser, reaching out to your web application. But the key is that you're not just checking for a basic OK status. You can use it to verify that the page content itself is correct, that the word awesome is showing up. If what you expect isn't there, the playbook fails. Now that's a true application health check. The script module is incredibly flexible. If you already have health check scripts written in Bash, Python, or pretty much anything else, you can just run them directly. If that script exits with any non-zero status code, Ansible considers it a failure and halts. It's simple, it's powerful, and it lets you use the tools you already have. And for checking those very specific little details, the assert module is perfect. It lets you run a command, capture its output, and then verify that the output contains exactly what you expect. This is ideal for validating custom configurations or checking the status of non-standard services to make sure they are just right. And the toolkit doesn't stop there. You have wait for to make sure a service is actually listening on a port, stat to check on files, and you've even got Ansible's check mode, which can act as a drift test to see if a system has changed from the state you declared. Okay, now let's see how all these tools build into something truly powerful. We can use these application tests as a gatekeeper in our deployment process, which stops a bad update from ever reaching all of our users. So here's the workflow. We take one server out of rotation, we deploy our update to it. Then we run our application health checks, the ones we just talked about. Only if every single one of those tests passes, do we put the server back into the live pool. It's a fantastic safety net. And here's what that looks like in a real playbook. The serial keyword tells Ansible to work on only, say, 5 servers at a time. The pre-tasks section takes them out of the load balancer. The main tasks do the deployment and run our tests, and then the post-tasks section adds them back in. See how it all fits? And the most crucial point is this. If any test in that main tasks block fails, the playbook run for that host just stops. It never reaches the post-tasks section. That broken server is left isolated, safely out of the load balancer, just waiting for you to investigate. The gate did its job. Now, when you build this kind of robust, self-testing playbook, you unlock the door to the next level. A true continuous deployment pipeline. Just look at this flow. A developer commits code. A CI system like Jenkins automatically runs your playbook against a staging environment. If all the embedded application tests pass, that exact same playbook is then run against your production servers using the safe rolling update pattern we just designed. It's automated, reliable, and fast. This really is the core takeaway. Ansible handles the infrastructure. Your job and your tests should be to confirm that your application is healthy, functional, and ready for users after the deployment. So I'll leave you with this question to think about. What is the single most important health check for your application? Could you check an API endpoint, a database connection, maybe a specific piece of content on a web page? Find that one thing and build your first real application test right into your playbook today. You'll be on your way to a much safer, much more reliable deployment process.